welcome back to another electrifying episode of Pleasure Principles, the podcast where we dismantle the taboos, elevate intimacy, and explore the full spectrum of human connection. I'm your host Avik, and today, buckle up because we are diving deep into a subject that's as ancient as it is revolutionary: tantric sex. Yeah. So, dear listeners, and to guide us is someone who has quite literally changed the lives and the sex lives as well of hundreds of men around the world. So, my guest today is none other than Emma Galland. So, welcome to the show, Emma.
Thank you for having me on your show, Avik. It's good to be here.
Lovely, lovely. Nice to meet you, Emma. And dear listeners, before we delve deep into this topic, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Emma. So, Emma is the French American force behind Tantric Awakenings LLC. So, she is a trailblazer in male sexual mastery, a healer of porn addiction, and the creator of the powerful Virilité Method, designed to ignite the vitality, and presence. So, but Emma isn't just here to teach the technique. So she is here to help us explore the difference between sex as performance and sex as a path to self-realization. So whether you are craving the deeper pleasure, curious about sacred sensuality, or ready to rewrite your or maybe rewire your relationship to your body, then this is the conversation you didn't know that you needed. So I'll not take much of your time. Let's welcome again to the show.
Thank you.
Lovely, lovely. So, Emma, I definitely love to explore from the roots. Like, if you can share that, what is the real difference between the conventional sex and the tantric sex? Uh, and like, according to you, why do you believe that so many of us are hungry for this shift today?
Yes. Oh, that's such a great question.
Mhm.
And I really liked your introduction and how you were mentioning that people can be interested in tantric sex not only for better sex, but also maybe to explore spirituality and sacred sex. And Tantra speaks to both better sex and sacred sex. And these are two different paths in tantric sexuality
Hmm.
that we can talk about later if you like. But when it comes to the difference between conventional sex and tantric sex, everything's different. um, mhm. So it's it starts with intention. So tantric sex is a sex that is intentional,
Mhm.
and you you come into sex with an intention either maybe to have more pleasure or connection or love or health or relaxation or
Yeah.
even presence. So you set an intention as opposed to just getting with the motions like, oh, I'm turned on, let's have sex.
Mm.
Because when you set the intention, you're opening up the path of the flavor of the sex you'll have. If you're looking for love and connection versus if you're looking for passion and wildness, if
Mm.
that's two different intention you could have, your self-expression in sex will differ. So there's this intention to begin with. And then tantric sex is deeply embodied sex. Conventional sex is more brain sex. There's a lot of story in the head about how sex should be, or performance concerns, or results oriented, goal oriented sex. So I work primarily with men. So there's huge amount of pressure on men. So like, does she like it? Should I do this? Should I slow down? Should I go fast? Where am I? Where is she? There's just
Mm.
how should it be? Am I doing it right? Does she like it? There's just so much in the head, and it's taking away from awareness of your senses because when you're in your head, your embodiments is lessened. In tantric sex, there is no more story. You are in the present moment experiencing the five senses as they awakened. So you will be second to second thinking, what do I smell? What do I taste? What do I
Mm.
feel with my touch? What do I hear? What do I see? And you are deepening your self awareness and therefore your presence. It's a state of being, tantric sex, while conventional sex is a state of doing or thinking about sex, whereby the enjoyment is a lot less. And also because I work a lot with men who are struggling with erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation, and I have to
Mm.
say, almost every man will
Yeah.
have at one point in their life have
Mm.
their penis that just doesn't go the way he wants it to go, or will finish too soon. When you are having tantric sex, you are so embodied that you can actually feel
Mm.
the stages of your arousal, and you have such deep sensational awareness that you know when you're approaching the point of
Mm.
no return. You know when you are on a scale of 0, no arousal, 10, you're ejaculating. You know exactly where you are. You know when you are at the 7, 7.3, 7.6, 8,
Yeah.
8.1. When you are in your head, you don't feel this. You're like from 0 to 10, and 10 is too late. You also, when you're in tantric sex, there is no judgment about the sex. You are in the moment. So if
Mm.
suddenly you feel that your erection winds down, you're not worried about it. This is how penis is currently showing up. There's a need for this, and you listen and you approach sex with curiosity without expectation.
Mm.
And so you can really feel deeper. You can feel your emotion as they arise. You can, and therefore that is the pathway to healing sex, which we can also
Mm.
talk about. But so from the intention to the way you are as opposed to doing in
Mm.
sex, it's very different. And then you're using tools that are not very present in conventional sex either. So there is um, a conscious use of
Mm.
breath work,
Mm.
of movement, of sound, and different. There's so many different tools you can use to actually increase pleasure, even move pleasure in different parts of your body. When you get into tantric sex, men become multi-orgasmic. They can have full body orgasm. They can have brain gasm. They can have nipple orgasms. They can decide to have just a prostate orgasm, anal orgasm, with or without touch. That's the fascinating thing. Is you enter the realm of having energetic orgasms as well as physical orgasms, and then you can have blended orgasms, and it's just such a richness whereby men discover they're just as complex and rich in their sexual experience
Mm.
as women have traditionally thought to be the only one having such diversity. No, men as well. So you're starting to have new sensations and new appreciation for the
Mm.
depth and the flavors and colors of sex.
Ah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. And
Welcome.
yeah, and like you often say that sexuality is not a kind of side activity, but it's a core source of power. So, how does Tantra help someone, especially a man, reclaim that power in everyday life?
Yes, men and women. It's really interesting. So I have
Mhm.
traveled a lot to India. I mean, Tantra comes from Mother India. Thank you so much for creating this, and thank you also for yoga. You also yoga teacher, and so I do know that in India, sex is very taboo. So it is in many countries, but it's interesting because I work with Indian men as well,
Mm.
and it's one of their greatest sadness that
Mm.
um, the current Indian people have broken roots with this ancient and
Right.
revolutionary wisdom. So why? So how does that work? Um,
Mm.
in so the connection here with the spirituality and how it affects your life and why it's centered in your life is that the body of knowledge of Tantra, so the
Mhm.
philosophies, the tools, the methods, their
Okay.
goal is to lead someone towards self-realization.
Correct.
And in this concept, in this environment, if you'd like, the body is the conduit. to self-realization. In most religion,
Mhm.
the way to bliss, the way to enlightenment is to forget the body, because the body is sinful, or the body will have like desires and may sidetrack you. Like the body is really something to be worried about. And the more detached from the body you are, the faster you will reach higher spheres. Tantra says it's the exact opposite. There is no enlightenment unless you start in the body, and the body becomes your portal to living a higher life.
Mm.
So how does that, because and any form of and Tantra would even therefore say that bypassing the body, it's a spiritual bypass. You
Mm.
cannot bypass the body. You have to be embodied, because and what's interesting with my background is I can speak to the neuroscience of sex just as I can speak to the biology of sex and the nutrition, as well as the spiritual and tantric practice of sex.
Mm.
But when you live your life in your body in an embodied way, and you use your sexuality
Mm.
to deepen presence, then you are more effective in the present. If I am struggling with grief, or I'm struggling with anger, or I feel really stuck at work, I hate my work, or I'm having some difficulties in my relationship, and I disconnect with my sexuality, I will be more and more alienated from my human experience of this hardship. The invitation of Tantra, using different tools, but since we're speaking about tantric sex, is actually being in sex
Mm.
with your current difficulties and using your sex as a meditation to go deeper and deeper into the sensations of that hardship.
Mm.
So if you're going through anger or grief, let's say
Mm.
grief, you can make love feeling both the pleasure and the love in the making love part, as well as the grief, because sex opens up your limbic system, your nervous system, that's your emotional system, and it also connects with your reptilian brain, which is your fight or
Mm.
flight mode. And it can, when it's done the tantric way, it bypasses the mind. So it bypasses your ego, it bypasses your taboos, your restraints, right?
Yeah.
It bypasses cultural conditioning. So then I am here in sex, present in my body, and my body feels like crying right now. I have
Mm.
so much grief. I lost my mother, and I don't feel sexual because I'm like in so
Yeah.
much grief. The invitation here is to just start masturbating, and I teach men masturbation. It's like you're in your grief, you're not feeling it. Just simply touch your body, touch your chest, touch your arms, touch your inner thighs. Maybe give yourself a testicle massage.
Mm.
Love your penis, not in a porn like masturbation, which is alienating and disconnecting, but why don't you give
Yeah.
you nurturing, cocooning love, compassion for your grief
Mm.
in the touch of your sexuality. And as you start awakening desire, because desire will come, physical and turn on will come, the more you surrender in pleasure, the more your heart opens, the more the grief comes up, the harder you're going to cry. And you can continue breathing and sounding using the tools of tantra. You can make grieving love, basically.
Yeah.
You can allow yourself not to hide or freeze against the grief, but you can just keep thrusting or keep pleasuring and
Mm.
crying and feeling and breathing and being in it.
Yeah.
So it teaches you presence. So whether it's presence in joy and in pleasure, or presence in your grief or in your fear, when you are able to meet yourself in your sex at that level with these emotions,
Mm.
then you're able to come out of the bedroom and be
Correct.
in the grief and performance at work, be in the grief and being patient with your wife and your children, right? And so it's an invitation to deeper states of discovery and
Mm.
holding yourself with presence, love, and compassion.
Exactly. That's really lovely. That's a really great, I'd say, understanding and exploration. So thank you so much for sharing this. And like I really love like how you are linking intimacy with the purpose. Like most people are taught to separate sex from success, but you are inviting us to integrate them. So that's really powerful. Yep.
Absolutely. If I may add,
Mm.
everybody intuitively will realize that if you've had an incredible
Mm.
moment of lovemaking with your partner, you get out of there, you have so much energy, you're on top of the world, and everything feels easier in life, right?
Yeah.
But if you haven't had sex in a long time, while you desire, you're being denied, your wife is playing the weapon of restricting sex from you. And as a man, sex and love are very intertwined. If you are denied sex, it very much feels like you don't love me. Then how do you feel then for the rest of your day and at work, right? You feel like your wings have been chopped off, literally.
Yes.
So it starts really in your body, and your sexuality is the deepest core where all of the taboos, all of the shadows reside, and the conditioning and the limitation resides. And therefore, because it's the most restricted, if you're able to work there, you'll be able to find the biggest light, the biggest freedom, the biggest empowerment. That's the invitation here.
Hmm. That's really amazing, I have to say. Yeah. And and also, like, you mentioned how your own sexual healing journey started with speaking your truth. So how does the truth telling or lack of it show up in the bedroom?
Mm. It shows as erectile dysfunction,
Okay.
for instance, or it shows as premature ejaculation.
Mhm.
So, of course, rooting out any health issues that we really need to be concerned about, like, heart health or blockage somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, when you feel that you are, when you don't feel integrated, when you feel disconnected, when there's no intimacy, when there's feeling misunderstood, not desired and loved, all those things,
Mm,
um, we tend to, it shows up with our desires being dimmed,
mm.
basically. And so it will show up as sexual dysfunction.
Okay. Okay.
And in those moments,
Mm.
the invitation is not to force things with a blue pill or anything else. It's like really meet yourself in that difficult time. And you will see. Well, something that's amazing that I teach men is that a lot of men, and actually the difference here again, tantric versus conventional sex is in conventional sex, we look at the penis as an extension of the brain. It's more like the penis is a tool, but the brain directs the tool. While in tantric sex, the penis is sentient. It has its own consciousness. In fact, it has its own energical charge.
Mm,
And I teach men who have erectile dysfunction how to do soft entry penetration. You don't need to be erect to enter a vagina. There's some poses that you can have where you can feed a semi soft penis inside a vagina and just hold here into stillness. And what you will discover is that the positive charge of the penis and the negative charge of the vagina, because there's a polarity at the organ level,
yeah.
and it's the reverse polarity sidebar for the heart. It's negative charge for men and positively charged for women. But in that negative and positive polarity in the sex organs, you will see that your penis will come to life independently of your brain. And that truth of a penis having a life of its own, so to speak, really is so telling in younger men who have a lot of erectile erections, nocturnal erections. So the penis doesn't necessarily need your brain, right? It just needs energetically to be activated. And you do that with your awareness. So bringing your awareness onto your penis,
Mm,
telling beautiful things to your penis. I teach men and women to compliment their genitals. Penis listens. And when you start building the intimacy within yourself, that's when you can therefore reconnecting within yourself. That's the premise to connect with someone else. You can't connect with your lover if you're not connected
yeah.
within.
Exactly.
Does that answer the question you asked me?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, like, this might sound contradictory, but it's not contradictory. So, like, some skeptics say that tantric sex is it's over glorified or not practical for the modern life. So how do you respond to people who think that it's too woo woo or time consuming?
That's just a pudding.
Yeah.
So I say the proof is in the pudding. Try it and then let's talk.
Sure.
Seriously. So it's really beautiful. It's the same actually with yoga and tantra.
Yeah.
I don't have to convince you. Try it and you'll be convinced for it on your own. That literally, it's not a, you see, it's not a religion. You don't have to have faith and belief.
Yeah.
You just do the work and then you see for yourself. And so the time consuming part is interesting. I get this question a lot. So the best sex is really the one that's over an hour. 2, 3 hours is ideal, especially because if a woman wants to experience a deep vaginal orgasm, like a cervical orgasm, it's going to take way over an hour to get there. You could have, a clear orgasm in 15 minutes, and you could have maybe a G-spot orgasm in 40, 45 minutes, but it's going to take way longer to get the cervix to react this way. And what's really important is that a man who hasn't experienced cervical orgasm has not yet really truly understood the power of his penis. When a man starts to make love that deep, the man is the initiator, he's the penetrator, but woman is the environment of sex. So man is a guest and woman is the house. When the house is really all lit up, warm, the music is good, you can arrive right at the beginning and I'm still in the kitchen preparing dinner, or you can stick around for a little bit, and then we're gonna have a beautiful dinner. Maybe we'll have a dance party afterwards, something like that, right? The longer you stay in the environment, the warmer it's going to be, and the more it's going to suck you in to stay longer. When men can pass at least the hour, they won't have much work to do afterwards because the woman will take over. Her vagina will now start working with penis and take you deeper and deeper. And that's where my clients that have some extremely skeptical, uh, manly man kind of client, right? Who just came to me saying, Emma, I don't understand what's happening to me. Something magical happened. I'm like, what word did you use, sir? Magical. I can't put another word on it. And say, yes, like it defies the words. So I wanted to say that try it and you'll see. Now, the time thing, though, tantric sex can be the tools and the approach can be done in 10 minutes.
Correct.
A quickie typically would be an hour, but it could be 10 minutes. If we're talking about intention, if we're talking about being deeply present in your body, attuned to your five senses, it's a way of being.
Yeah.
It's not doing. And I find that there are a lot of like fake tantric sex courses or fake tantric sex guru that really mix up the Kama Sutra with Tantra. And they're just like, you have to be, you have to be like an Olympian, basically, or a gymnast in order to have tantric sex. Not at all. And in fact, you could just choose to be in missionary position for an entire hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. It doesn't matter. In fact, you want comfort. You want to be so comfortable that you don't suffer in your body. And so you can really withdraw inside deeper. If you're fighting with a cramp, with your breathlessness, with this and that, it takes you out of the experience. You're in a fight or flight mode. You're not in a state of relaxation. Tantric sex is a state of relaxation, kind of, it's a parasympathetic nervous system sex. It's not a performative sex. It's a relaxing, slow way of making love.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it could be
Amazing.
fast, but you would be still tantric if you have all of the conditions, so to speak, all of the approach of making love this way.
Wow. That's amazing. That's really amazing. And I mean, Emma, it's really, really great conversation. I really wanted to have more deep dive into this discussion, but time is constrained. But yeah, like we'll definitely love to connect again, and we'll come up with a lot of other I mean, sides of it much deeper. So, but for today, I have to say, what a journey. I mean, from performance to presence, from disconnection to divine sensuality. Dear listeners, today's episode was a kind of reminder that our bodies aren't just vehicles for the pleasure, they are the gateways to truth, healing, and love. And Emma, thank you so much for showing us what's possible when we reclaim our sexuality with reverence and courage.
Thank you, Avik.
Yeah, and dear listeners, if you want to learn more about Emma's work, check out Tantric Awakenings and the Virilité Method. Whether you are looking for to heal, explore, or expand, there's something here for every man, every couple, and every seeker. So I'll put all the links into the show notes for your easy reference, dear listeners. And for all of you, the next time you touch someone or yourself, ask, like, am I doing this from habit, or from the devotion? So, with this hope, until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and remember that pleasure is not a luxury, it's a principle. So, thank you so much.